it's so hard to confess when everybody thinks you're perfect. But I cry for you if you feel it too. And I cry for you if it's so hard to lose the elephants in the room.
Hey guys, it's me. I figured I would start that off with some music. I have 57, or sorry, 66 days today. And I wrote last night. I had this dream that was like, it's like I wasn't using. It's the first dream I've had since I got clean again, where I wasn't using, but it was still in my active addiction. In a way, I felt the same. And what was weird was in that dream, it was like orchestrated by Amanda, and not in a bad way or anything. Just she was on the sideline, so I didn't see her. And all of these people had this negative, terrible feeling about me, and they were, and I was like hiding internally because they all hated me for what I am. And I was with my kids, and I could hear people, and I can't remember what they were saying anymore. Like maybe I woke up and I just didn't want to know or whatever. But it was just like they hated me, and I felt like a fraud. And let me pause this. And I had that feeling like I was at work again, where people were saying things and I was pretending not to hear them say the things that I heard them say. And some of it I didn't hear, but I could just, I remember one time I walked by and one of the salespeople were talking to a customer, and the customer said, "There's the tweaker." And I pretended not to hear that. And I don't need to name who, it doesn't matter. And I remember walking back to my desk and pretending like I didn't hear any of it. And I remember leaving that day just so defeated, so beat down. And I remember saying in my car, looking in the mirror in the car, this car, that I'm all alone, that I'm not going to be able to reach out to the people in recovery anymore. I don't have any more friends. There's nobody I can call. I can't call my sponsor anymore. And nor was I going to at that point and where I was at. And I wanted to cry so bad. And then I remember looking in the mirror and say, "Don't do it. They're gonna see it. They're watching you." And so I told myself, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not gonna cry. You don't get to cry after what you've done. And I was just dead inside. There's been so many times I've wanted to kill myself, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm too much of a coward to do something like that. I'm too afraid of like the pain of it and all that, and so I just will deal with it, or did deal with it. And I don't have to feel like that today, but I wrote about it. It was 3:33 a.m. It's in my notes, so it'll be there if I ever put this whole thing together. But I wrote about how I felt. And well, the first thing I did was I called, because I had this weird bad feeling that something was wrong with Amanda. And she answered the phone, and she I don't know if she was coherent or what she was, but it doesn't matter what was going on. This isn't about her. But although this part is. She said she was by the trailer, and then she said, "Wait, who am I talking to?" And then I said who I was, and she said, "Oh, yeah, I'm on my way home." And so I realized she wasn't by the trailer outside the house, and I also realized that I don't want to hold on to this, hating on her anymore. I'm grateful that like I'm in the position I'm in, and if this continues, then I have to take some certain steps that were talked about um, in church today, and that ties into like I used some gratitudes to help me fall back to sleep. I was, really worried that I was gonna wake up in time for church, and I've been stressing. I want to get baptized. I registered to baptize at one church, and I thought I was going to go back to that church, and I thought, man, I don't want to go back to that church. Not because of the sermon or the some of the people in there, but there's a couple people in there that are in recovery with me, and I just like I don't want to go to a place that there's some familiarity. I want to start this all over. I told myself I'd change everything, and I find myself sometimes gravitating towards being the way I can be. Familiarity. I decided to choose a different church today. I flipped up, and then all of a sudden I find myself going back to that church. It's somebody's birthday today, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to that church, and I'm going to see them tonight and celebrate their 1 year. And then I show up, and it's I'm like 4 minutes late, of course, because that's how I roll sometimes. And I noticed nobody's in the parking lot, and the pastor walks in, and we make eye contact, but that's about it. And then I realize, and then I see these two girls coming in, and one of them I thought was attractive, by the way. I'm going to put that as a note in here because I'm battling that as a problem right now. And she said, "Well, you could just hang out with us." And then I thought to myself, no, I'm not doing that, man. As much as I want to, because it's all about me, right? I'm not looking for a girl right now. In my back of my mind, I am, but no, I'm not. I'm not looking for a relationship right now. And, that side of me, inside of me is. And I'm not ready for all that. And I don't want to be. I just want to be where I turn my life and my will over to the care of my higher power, which is God. And I want to be involved in recovery. And I want the people in recovery to know that I'm in the middle, because that's how important this is to me. And so I got back in my car, and I drove off, and I looked up on my phone, a church, and there's this church called it's called True Grace. And so, I've got Christian music on. I decide not to play any hip hop or any of that. I'm going to leave the Christian music on, and a song comes on as I'm going there, because they don't open till 9:30, and I'm like, well, I'll be, on time for this one. And I just stop and get water. So of course I showed up 1 minute late. Whatever. That's just how things are working now. That'll change. But the song they were singing was the song that was in my car, that I was singing in the car in my head. I wasn't singing it out loud, but maybe I did. I don't know. But I really like that song, and I don't remember the name of it, but they were singing it, and I thought, wow. And then of course there's somebody pretty singing with the other people, and I'm just praying, I don't want that either. And then that lifted, I just kept praying for it, and it lifted. And then, and then I realized that, I'm trying to get baptized, and they have this video that pops on about baptism, and they show these like 6 or 7 people that get baptized. And I had just finished filling out this card about how I want to be baptized before that little clip came on, and I just thought, man, this is very coincidental, and I've always believed that God's way of staying anonymous is those are the coincidences. And so I thought, man, this is where I want to get baptized. And then the sermon kicks on, and it's some guy, I've never been to this church, but he doesn't normally preach, or maybe he does, but he said something that made me believe he didn't, because everybody, he was like, I don't think you guys recognize me, but I was called to do the sermon. And the sermon that he spoke, it was like he was speaking a sermon about my dream. And I know that, you know, we all go to church, or whoever goes to church, we all have this
I found this on the web.
we all have this the sermons for me, but it answered the questions to my dreams, and it talked about Psalm 28, and then he referenced it into one little thing where he said, you know, sometimes you're in a situation and you're praying to get out of it, but God put you in there. And to dine with the enemies, you know, an enemy is, you know, in a broad statement, because I'm not going to say this, Amanda's my enemy, but the people in my dream were my enemies, and God put me in there. And so I chose that as my church. So to not make this a 15-minute message, as I continue with this, it is interesting how things work out, and I don't know anybody at this church, and it feels good to be at a place I don't know anybody at, and I can just start over. In this particular regards, the recovery stuff, I have to be around people I recognize so I can overcome that fear of like coming back. But this felt like the right place, so I registered to get baptized, and the next baptism they're going to have, I'll be at, which is going to be at the back end of November. And you know, I know this is a one day at a time program, but I do have something to look forward to as long as I can continue to stay on this path of, it'll be right around when I have 90 days too, which is awesome. Assuming that I can continue this every single day, so just for today. But I'll leave with this. I found a church. I have over 2 months clean now, and I'm not worried about that dream that I had anymore. I'm truly grateful for all of this. So this is the next video on my vlog that I'll continue to do as I go through this journey of staying a year clean. But I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm stressed over some stuff, but for the most part, I think it's all going to work out. And even if it doesn't, it'll work the way it's supposed to work out, and I'll be able to overcome that too. And I don't have to get loaded for it. So I love you, Rodney. This is, you know, I love you, and just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing good. And that dream isn't anything to do about you. It's about how you're going to overcome what you're feeling.